Decoding ourselves. Personality traits, the Myers-Briggs, and the quest for self-understanding. Have you ever tried to categorize yourself or someone you know based on personality traits? Perhaps you've wondered if you're more extrovert than introverted, or perhaps judged a colleague as being overly assertive. This is a common practice, rooted in the idea that people possess enduring ways of thinking, feeling, and acting that distinguish them from others. Psychologists have dedicated considerable effort to understanding these personality traits, particularly their impact on well-being. One popular tool used to explore personality is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI. This assessment, based on Carl Jung's theories, categorizes individuals into one of 16 types based on 4 dichotomies: extroversion versus introversion, sensing versus intuiting, thinking versus feeling, and perceiving versus judging. Millions of people take the MBTI each year, fueling a thriving industry of assessment services, training programs, and merchandise adorned with the iconic 4-letter profiles. So, what accounts for the MBTI's immense popularity? Is it a scientifically robust measure of personality? The answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. While the MBTI is easy to administer and can be engaging for participants, its reliability, the consistency of results over repeated assessments, is somewhat weak. Additionally, its validity, whether it truly measures what it claims to measure, is adequate but not exceptional compared to other personality tests. The appeal of the MBTI lies in several factors. Ease of use and enjoyment. MBTI workshops can be a fun and engaging way for groups to interact and build teams. Effective marketing and packaging. The MBTI's polished materials and associated products create a sense of professionalism that appeals to both organizations and individuals. Conversation starter. Sharing and comparing MBTI profiles can spark insightful conversations about personality and preferences, unlike more superficial discussions like those based on horoscopes. Identification and identity. People readily identify with their personality profiles, integrating them into their self-concept. The magical transformation. Despite initial skepticism while answering questions, individuals often experience a sense of recognition and intrigue when they see their completed profile. Furthermore, the MBTI avoids negative labels. Each profile is described in a way that evokes admiration, making it a personality profile people are proud to share. However, despite its popularity, some psychologists express reservations. They advocate for more nuanced and detailed analyses of human personality rather than relying on simplified, 4-letter summaries. Additionally, the MBTI's reliance on rigid categories rather than dimensional scales, where individuals can score along a continuum of traits, is another point of concern. Ultimately, the MBTI serves as a useful tool for self-exploration and sparking conversations about personality. However, it's important to remember that it is just one perspective, and a more comprehensive understanding of personality requires a deeper dive into the science of traits and the frameworks used by personality researchers. Unlocking well-being. Exploring the Big 5 personality traits. Have you ever wondered why you react to situations the way you do? Or why some people seem naturally drawn to order while others thrive in chaos? The answers might lie in your personality, and contemporary research suggests that much of our personality can be understood through 5 core traits, often called the Big 5. Before we delve into these traits, take a moment to reflect on yourself with this quick assessment called the 10-item personality inventory, or TIPI. For each statement, rate 1 to 5 how much you agree or disagree. 1. Extrovert, enthusiastic. 2. Critical, quarrelsome. 3. Dependable, self-disciplined. 4. Anxious, easily upset. 5. Open to new experiences, complex. 6. Reserved, quiet. 7. Sympathetic, warm. 8. Disorganized, careless. 9. Calm, emotionally stable. 10. Conventional, uncreative. This brief inventory, while not diagnostic, offers a glimpse into your placement on the Big 5 dimensions. Developed by Sam Gosling, Jason Renfro, and William Swan, the TP is a reliable and valid tool used by researchers to quickly assess these fundamental aspects of personality. The Canoe Model, Navigating the Big 5. The Big Five traits represent a consensus among personality researchers that the vast array of human personality differences can be distilled into 5 key factors: conscientiousness, efficiency, organization versus extravagance, carelessness; agreeableness, friendly, compassionate versus challenging, detached; neuroticism, sensitive, nervous versus secure, confident; openness, inventive, curious versus consistent, cautious; extroversion, outgoing, energetic versus solitary, reserved. Unlike personality typing systems like the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, the Big Five framework views these traits as dimensions, not categories. Every individual falls somewhere along a spectrum for each trait, with most people residing in the middle ranges. Importantly, these traits are not solely a product of environment. Research indicates a significant genetic component, accounting for roughly 50% of the variation between individuals on each trait. Furthermore, our standing on these dimensions significantly impacts our happiness, health, and overall well-being. Conscientiousness, the orderly mind versus the spontaneous spirit. Let's explore one of these traits in more detail: conscientiousness. High conscientiousness is typically associated with being organized, careful, responsible, and disciplined. People with low conscientiousness tend to be more spontaneous, careless, and impulsive. A wealth of research suggests that conscientiousness is a strong predictor of success in academic and professional settings. Conscientious students often achieve higher grades and exhibit better retention in college, likely due to their ability to meet deadlines, prioritize studying, and control impulses. Similarly, in the workplace, conscientiousness is linked to increased job prospects, positive performance evaluations, and higher salaries across diverse occupations. Beyond achievement, conscientiousness also predicts health and longevity. Studies have shown that conscientiousness in childhood is a significant predictor of lifespan, comparable to the negative impact of cardiovascular disease. This may be because conscientious individuals are more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors like healthy eating, regular exercise, and consistent medical checkups. However, like all traits, conscientiousness may have its downsides. Daniel Nettle argues that conscientiousness is most adaptive in stable, predictable environments. In chaotic, rapidly changing situations, a less conscientious person might be better equipped to adapt and react to sudden intrusions. A study of Tulsa jazz musicians supports this idea. The researchers found that musicians rated lower in conscientiousness were evaluated as better by their peers. In the improvisational world of jazz, the ability to deviate from routine, respond to subtle cues, and embrace creative variations may be more valuable than strict adherence to rules and structure. By understanding the Big Five traits, we can gain valuable insights into our own strengths and weaknesses, and how our personalities impact our well-being and success in various aspects of life. While conscientiousness is just one piece of the personality puzzle, it highlights the complex interplay between our traits, our environment, and our overall quality of life. The double-edged sword of personality, agreeableness and neuroticism. Personality shapes our lives in profound ways, influencing our relationships, careers, and even our health. While some traits are universally lauded, like conscientiousness, others, like agreeableness and neuroticism, present a more complex picture. They highlight how seemingly positive qualities can have drawbacks, and how even challenging traits can possess hidden strengths. Agreeableness, beyond being nice. Agreeableness, one of the Big Five personality traits, is often equated with being pleasant, cooperative, and empathetic. Highly agreeable individuals are generally well-liked and considered trustworthy, vital in forming first impressions and building social bonds. The evolutionary roots of this trait might lie in our need to quickly assess whether someone is a potential ally. However, despite its social advantages, agreeableness isn't a guaranteed path to success. Studies have shown a surprisingly weak correlation between agreeableness and professional achievement, and in some cases, highly agreeable individuals, particularly men, might even earn less. This could be due to societal expectations or a reluctance to assert themselves in competitive environments. Yet, this isn't the whole story. Recent research suggests that in specific contexts, agreeableness can be a major asset. For example, key account managers, whose success hinges on nurturing long-term client relationships, benefit significantly from being agreeable. This underscores the crucial role of context. Agreeableness might be less effective in short-term encounters but invaluable in building lasting connections. Furthermore, the key might lie in finding a balance. Being too agreeable can be detrimental, just like being too disagreeable. While assertiveness is often linked to success, excessive or indiscriminate assertiveness, often seen in disagreeable individuals, can lead to strained relationships and missed opportunities. The sweet spot lies in finding an optimal level of assertiveness, a balance between getting ahead and getting along. Neuroticism, sensitivity and its evolutionary roots. Moving on to neuroticism, this trait, characterized by sensitivity to negative cues and a tendency towards anxiety and emotional vulnerability, often carries a negative connotation. Individuals high in neuroticism tend to experience lower subjective well-being, more negative emotions, and challenges in relationships. This sensitivity is linked to heightened activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, leading to chronic stress and potential health problems. However, dismissing neuroticism as purely negative overlooks its potential benefits. While stable individuals might seem to have a clear path to well-being, neuroticism's sensitivity to threat has played a crucial role in human survival. In our evolutionary past, individuals highly attuned to danger were more likely to detect predators and potential threats, protecting both themselves and their communities. While the nature of threats has evolved, this inherent sensitivity can still provide a protective advantage. Neuroticism can also amplify other personality traits. A conscientious but neurotic individual, for instance, might be even more diligent, albeit potentially prone to obsessive-compulsive behaviors. Similarly, a disagreeable and neurotic person might be at risk of becoming dangerously antagonistic. Finding the silver lining. Ultimately, both agreeableness and neuroticism demonstrate the complexity of personality. Neither trait is inherently good or bad. Their impact depends on context, degree, and interaction with other personality characteristics. Understanding the nuances of these traits allows us to appreciate the diverse strengths and potential challenges that each individual brings, fostering greater empathy and a more nuanced perspective on human behavior. It reminds us that even seemingly negative traits can have adaptive advantages, highlighting the rich tapestry of human personality and its vital role in our survival and well-being. Openness to experience, receptivity versus resistance. Openness to experience, as opposed to being closed off, describes the degree to which someone embraces new ideas, interactions, and environments. It's strongly connected to creativity. Individuals high in openness typically enjoy art and culture, have a taste for the unusual, and possess a complex worldview. Conversely, those low in openness tend to resist novelty, prefer routine, and find the exotic unappealing. They often find unfamiliar situations challenging. Openness also extends to emotional experiences. Like those high in neuroticism, open individuals are more aware of negative emotions like anxiety or depression. However, unlike their neurotic counterparts, they also readily experience positive emotions such as joy and wonder. A compelling example of this is the phenomenon of aesthetic chills, strongly linked to openness. If you often get goosebumps or shivers down your spine when listening to music or viewing art, you likely score high in openness. The personal anecdote shared highlights this connection, where both the author and their daughter experience similar piloerections, hair standing on end, in response to specific musical passages. This shared experience even seemed to extend to the author's granddaughter, suggesting a heritable component. In terms of well-being, openness has a unique relationship compared to other Big Five personality traits. Because it's associated with both positive and negative emotions, open individuals may experience a more complex and nuanced sense of well-being. Furthermore, openness is often linked to success in fields that value innovation and creative achievement. The Big Five personality trait of extroversion-introversion has received significant attention, along with neuroticism, due to its impact on well-being and its high heritability. The publication of Susan Cain's Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking has sparked interest in the biases against introverted behaviors in various settings. Biologically, extroverts have lower levels of arousal in certain neocortical areas, while introverts have higher levels, leading to different behaviors in arousing settings. Extroverts may engage in risky driving, while introverts prefer calm environments, which may be misconstrued as antisocial. In terms of optimal arousal, beverages such as alcohol and coffee can impact performance. Alcohol reduces arousal, while coffee increases it. Ambiverts, individuals with middle-level scores on extroversion, maintain optimal arousal levels. Research shows that ambiverts may have an advantage in sales and other areas, and they should consider drinking Irish coffee or water to maintain their arousal level. Extroverts and introverts also differ in intellectual achievement. Introverts tend to achieve higher marks in school, but extroverts have better short-term memories. In joint projects, conflicts may arise between extroverts, who prefer a fast and less accurate approach, and introverts, who prefer a slow and meticulous one. In social interactions, extroverts and introverts exhibit different nonverbal and verbal styles, which can lead to misunderstandings. Extroverts stand closer, speak louder, touch more, and use direct language, while introverts maintain distance, speak softly, touch less, and use more complex language. Understanding the differences between extroverts and introverts is crucial for navigating social situations, improving well-being, and recognizing the value of various personality styles. Let me illustrate with an anecdote. I once worked on a consulting project with a colleague who was my polar opposite, named Tom, a towering extrovert, while I tend to be an introverted individual of shorter stature. For 1 month, the client assigned Michael, a finance division employee, to our team. Michael's demeanor nearly derailed the project. Recognizing the issue, the client sought Tom and Ms. assessment of Michael. Tom, true to his extroverted nature, responded in a way I'll elaborate on later. When I was asked, I cautiously stated that Michael's behavior could be perceived by some as overly assertive. Tom, rolling his eyes, exclaimed that I was simply calling him an asshole. As an introvert, I might allude to such tendencies, but I would never use such blunt language. Introverts often soften their words to avoid being proven wrong, favoring indirectness, while extroverts prefer direct communication. The extroversion-introversion spectrum also illuminates motivation and environmental perception. Similar to how neurotics are sensitive to potential punishments, extroverts are highly attuned to rewards and opportunities, perceiving positive possibilities in their surroundings. Introverts, especially those prone to neuroticism, are less motivated by rewards and more focused on potential risks. Consequently, extroverts and introverts can interpret identical situations in drastically different ways. A pediatrician shared a compelling example of this. 2 mothers of 18-month-old children, during separate consultations in the same week, mentioned their child's unusual fondness for ketchup. The first mother worried about her child's dependence on ketchup, fearing it indicated a gastrointestinal problem, possibly early-stage Heinz disease, and sought guidance. The next day, the second mother, when asked about eating problems, simply stated that her child would eat anything with ketchup, seeing it as a solution, not a concern. Extroverts appear well-positioned for happiness, excelling in areas like positive emotions, life satisfaction, perceived quality of life, and socially oriented fields. Even in matters of intimacy, extroverts seem to have an advantage. A study found that introverted men reported an average of 3.0 instances of intercourse per month, compared to 5.5 for extroverted men, while introverted women reported 3.1 and extroverted women a heroic 7.5. However, to reassure any concerned introverted male readers, remember the earlier discussion about the quality-quantity trade-off. What are we to make of the debate spurred by Susan Cain's book, which questions whether introverts face systematic discrimination in American and other Western cultures? Indeed, introverts are sometimes disadvantaged, such as in classrooms designed around group activities or professional schools that favor a fast-paced, loud communication style. Consequently, one may ask, have introverts been denied the chance of a happy life compared to their extroverted counterparts? Cain's compelling arguments advocate a shift in consciousness that empowers introverts, similar to the women's empowerment movement. However, it is essential to remember that extroversion-introversion is only one of the 5 major personality traits. Two extroverts can differ significantly based on their standing in the other four factors: openness, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. An extrovert who is open, agreeable, and emotionally stable is vastly different from one who is closed, disagreeable, and neurotic. Therefore, discussions about the politics of personality must consider factors beyond just extroversion. Allow me to share an anecdote about coping with a card-carrying extrovert like Deb before a presentation. Despite my extensive experience presenting, as an introvert, I typically need to calm my nerves beforehand, often by taking a walk or reviewing my notes quietly. However, when Deb unexpectedly took the stage 3 minutes before my presentation, my anxiety levels increased. Her directness, while typical of extroverts, felt intrusive to me at the time. Furthermore, her casual disregard for my carefully planned AV setup triggered additional stress. And while she was a Myers-Briggs enthusiast, I firmly reject pigeonholing people into fixed personality types. I believe that we must adapt our behavior to the task at hand. However, my assumptions proved partially incorrect. As Deb and I finished setting up the AV equipment, she turned to me and whispered, "Scared you, didn't I?" She then confessed to being a former student and admitted to teasing me. As she left the stage, I noticed the letters ISTP, introverted, sensing, thinking, perceiving, printed in soft blue on the back of her t-shirt, the opposite of her outward persona. She understood the core point of my presentation. Personality traits are stable and have significant influence on health, happiness, and achievements. However, I will reveal a secret in the next chapter that will challenge that assertion. Your scores on the Big 5 personality dimensions do affect your well-being and achievements. These traits have a genetic basis and remain relatively stable over time. Does this mean that these traits irrevocably limit your freedom to shape your life, and that attempts at change are futile? Let us find out. End of Chapter 2.